I'm Eric Loy, and welcome to Loy Interviews. On this podcast, we talk with folks from the VTuber community on their channels, their talents, their stories, where they come from, and their plans for the future. We welcome Eri Abeille. Hi.
Hey, hello. Thank you for inviting me onto the show.
Well, thank you for coming on. I do appreciate it. Please introduce yourself to everybody, if you would.
Yes, my name is Eri Abeille. I am a green metallic bee oracle from Beyond the Stars. I manage the Celestial Bee Academy of Arts and Sciences, and I serve as the guardian of history and legend for all heroes within the universe.
Ah, yes. I'm sure my file is quite large in that library.
Yeah, have you done any heroics lately?
I'm sure my file is quite large in that library. No, I won't even edit that out. No, it's seriously. I got to say this, folks. You look at the thumbnail in front of you, and not only is the model excellent, but that logo is really good. That is.
Yeah, it's that model came from a Hong Kong studio, Jang Atelier. So I had a whole team of people working on this for me. It was
Wow.
great.
Wow. Where did the logo come from?
Fiverr, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, I work with an artist on Fiverr, and Fiverr I think is good for stuff like that when you need like simple graphics like logos and emotes and banners and things like that. I personally wouldn't use it for anything more complicated than that, but there you go. I got lucky, and I found somebody who specializes in JRPG style logos. And I was like, "Yep, that's it. That's me.
Well,
I'm doing it."
It is tremendous. It is absolutely tremendous. So hats off, and good taste on your part.
Thank you.
So when did you get started with the VTubing?
Oh, it had to have been around 3 years ago. I got started a little later than most people, so I missed the initial rush.
Mm-hmm.
What happened was I kind of like dove into it a little bit, so I got a inexpensive Vroid model that I got with using VC Face to see if I liked doing it, and I did, and I felt like over time I wasn't taking it seriously enough, so I decided to work with the studio Jang Atelier, and they had somebody consult with me and come up with a stage name, which is the name you're seeing now, and a lore and a backstory and everything. And I just went the whole hog.
Yeah, they helped you with all of that stuff.
Yeah, although they offered to help with like idol type stuff, like singing and all that. I'm really not much of a singer,
No.
you know.
Hey,
I'll do karaoke now and then, but I won't do covers. Sorry, people.
Yeah, there's auto tune. You could be anybody you want.
That's true.
That's but I wouldn't sing for anything, so I can believe I could go there. Actually, if I did, they would actually shut the channel down.
Look, if I can just like belt out any '80s classic tune. That's all you're gonna get out of me.
Some of them I'm all for. I lived those years. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. So when you got started, what was the reason you got started? I mean, you just saw it and wanted to give it a try, or were you watching VTubers, or what?
I was watching VTubers. I've been watching VTubers ever since Kizuna Ai, you know, who could be considered like the godmother of all VTubers, the proto-tuber.
Yeah.
So I was a fan. So my big dilemma, of course, was whether I should make a model of my character, because I've had this character a lot longer than I've been VTubing, like ever since I want to say 2013, 2014, Eri was around.
Yeah.
So it was a matter of convenience to make my model after my character. I could have just as easily gone with a male model, you know, to match my voice and everything.
Yeah.
But
I
figured going with the female model was better for like merchandising purposes and kind of selling myself.
Yeah, but what you mentioned,
just kind of going with where the audience is, you know.
Right. Well, you said you had that character for a while. Where was the character from?
So funny story about that. Way back in my early Twitch streaming days, because I've been streaming for almost 13 years now.
Yikes.
I had a discussion with a good friend of mine who was also my mod. His name is Jared.
Hello, Jared.
And yeah, hello, Jared, if you're listening. Um, so we had a discussion where I asked, okay, what's the most annoying enemy that you would face in a retro game? Like, what's the most annoying creature? And we went over a few different things. Like there are bats, there are birds, like in games like Castlevania, Ninja Gaiden, stuff like that.
Oh, yes.
And then one day I was playing Donkey Kong Country 2, and there's this whole area in Donkey Kong Country 2 where you're in a beehive.
Yep.
And we were like, yep, that's it. That's what we're going with. Bees.
Yes.
So I saw at the time, Salty Bet was big.
Yeah.
Salty Bet was that betting channel where people play simulated Mugen matches with characters against each other, and it's really jank and it's hilarious. In its heyday, it was a lot of fun to watch. And
Yeah.
they had a mascot, the Salty Bet girl.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, I was a cam streamer at the time, sometimes cam streamer. I was like, if I just keep being a cam streamer, no one's going to recognize me because I look like every other white guy out there. I'm pretty nondescript. But if I use my mascot, well, hey, I might have something there.
Yeah.
So that's how Eri came into being.
Oh, that's cool. So you wanted to be as irritating as possible.
It was kind of a joke at the time. But then I kind of fell in love with the characters.
Yeah.
So I created like a backstory for her and, characters and everything. It was kind of like channeling Marvel comics or DC or whatever. It was like, yeah,
Yeah.
I want to write more lore.
Yeah. Yeah. Just
Build
kinda,
a whole world around her.
It really kind of tapped into the creative side of you. Even if it wasn't intentional, it certainly did.
Yeah, I'm still at it. I'm still writing in my head. I'm trying to get my thoughts and ideas out. When something hits me, it hits like lightning. I'm just like, I got to get it out. It's burning.
So are you a writer, a creator of any type, but outside of VTubing?
That was a former life of mine. I
Ah.
actually used to write for a video game website, which is still active, called Operation Rainfall.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote articles about games. I wrote reviews. I wrote opinion pieces, some of which I'm not proud of anymore, but that was a past life.
The take on some of the games didn't quite hold up over time. Was that what it was?
Those are some of my opinions. I was young and naive and getting into things that I shouldn't have been.
Mm.
And I'd like to think I'm older and wiser now and more mature.
This Genshin Impact is never gonna be around very long.
I'm glad I didn't make that bet. No, it was more about stuff like how Dead or Alive Extreme 3 never came to the States. I was like, what is Koei Tecmo thinking? We could totally have this game.
Mm-hmm.
It was a whole controversy.
Yeah.
And the game itself, it's really just like you're spending time taking pictures of girls in swimsuits on the beach. You're playing volleyball, you're playing poker. You don't even get to see the girls playing poker.
Yeah.
It's really a mediocre game. And it's like, why was I making such a fuss over this? Why was Koei Tecmo making such a fuss over this? It wasn't worth it,
Yep.
At the time, I didn't know that some battles were not worth fighting.
Show me
Right?
a windmill and I will tilt. the Don Quixote type thing. It's sometimes you just like that's not worth my effort. You can go on to the next thing, and
Yeah. Well, live and learn, right?
oh yeah, absolutely. Or live and don't learn, in which case you just keep doing the same thing over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
But once you got into the streaming side of things, and were you a live streamer or were you a content creator type, recording and putting it on?
I was strictly live streaming because I felt a lot better talking in front of an audience. It's actually really hard to pre-record things and come up with like you're talking to nobody, like a classic Let's Play. I've done several videos like that, and it's just it can be challenging to keep a conversation going all by yourself. So I don't enjoy that as much. When I was working for Operation Rainfall, I was trying to convince my boss Steve that live streaming was the way to go because I saw other places doing it. Even now, RPG Fancom, who I watch constantly, Scott manages their channel. Shout out to Scott. He live streams everything from old to new RPGs. I was like, Steve, we got to get on this, but he wasn't convinced.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. it's tough to
That was
convince
unfortunate.
if somebody hasn't jumped on the bandwagon, and especially in technology, you've got a very short window, and then if they're not on it right away, they don't want to jump on it at all. I found that in the
Yeah, it's
radio.
unfortunate. Like he was very stubborn and traditional.
Yeah,
But I did what I could. I live stream on the Operation Rainfall channel a few times.
yeah,
Um, After that, it didn't really go anywhere,
yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah,
I
and
created their mascot too.
yeah. Is it another bee?
Yeah, her name is Ame. No, it's not. It's not a. It's not a bee. It's a girl with like purple hair, twin tails,
Yeah.
like a rain spirit, I guess.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
But yeah, she's very cute.
yeah. Well, I got to say that you mentioned going on and talking to people live is easier. A lot of people feel the other way around. Were you
I think it's because I had past, experience. I worked in customer service call center,
Yeah,
and so learning to hold a conversation even for a short time, it's a skill. It's a skill that you have to build.
yeah, it is, and especially if you're dealing with people who don't necessarily want to be there. Um,
Yeah,
that's a
I
tough.
used to work like second shift for an investment bank, and
Oh,
I'm sure people would rather not call about their money. People get really
yeah,
freaked out about their money.
yeah, yeah. I actually did phone sales for a short period of time in my youth. I was doing cold calls to people who lived in New York City, and I'm still alive. Um, I was actually
That's good.
I was at the time making $10 an hour because I didn't follow the script. I think the people in New York don't want to hear me saying, "Hello, my name is Eric, and I want you to." They don't want to hear that. they they will curse at you in
No,
a
I
way that you've
imagine
never heard.
not.
They will yell curse words in a way you've never heard before, and then hang up on you. So I just immediately, hey, we got stuff here that we got, you can buy. That
I
doesn't.
could never. I'm not brave enough for that sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they fired me because I was wearing sneakers.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Some people worry about the weirdest things. But anyway,
I guess so.
yeah. But the entire communications type thing is very basic and is so important to streaming and VTubing. So if you're already comfortable with that, I imagine it was pretty easy for you to get yourself a good base of chatters.
Actually, that was very difficult because
Really?
the approach I took initially was I would stream like the most niche and obscure games out there, and anyone can tell you today that that's not a recipe for growth. It's not.
Mm,
So I had a rough first couple years as a streamer before VTubing. My
yeah.
first big breakout game was Persona 3 FES on the PS2.
Yeah.
And shortly after that, I got myself a capture card, a PS3, and all that stuff. But I was doing something that I was passionate about. I love RPGs.
Right.
And the thing I love about RPGs is that you can hold long conversations about them. It's kind of like holding a book club. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Because you can talk about the story and progress, the characters, how you feel about them,
Mhm.
the dialogue, and all that. You can make it like a whole thing. That's why I love RPGs.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and it kind of really lends itself to this type of streaming, where you don't necessarily have to pause what's going on, but you can keep chat
No,
involved in
especially
it.
not with like a turn-based game.
Right,
No, you can
especially
take it
that.
at your own pace.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, and it does. I see a lot of people doing that, and kudos to them. Would you much rather do that type of a game online right now than any other type, or have you stretched out into the other types of games?
It's not something that I do exclusively. I would say it's my primary streaming type
Hmm.
because right now I'm going through Tales of Grace's F,
Mm,
and that's not a turn-based RPG. That's more of an action RPG.
right.
So I'm not going to restrict myself to one type of game. I'm also like big into retro.
Mm,
So there's a lot of classic retro RPGs that people enjoy, being Final Fantasy, um, the SNES Enix trilogy, Illusion of Gaia, Terranigma, Soul Blazer, that kind of thing. I'll
right.
play all those.
Yeah.
I'll play retro platformers. I'll play lots of retro. I mean, it's what I grew up with. I'm an older guy, so
Don't even get me
I'm
started.
basically just recounting my past here.
If I was to do that, I'd have to start with the Pong console I had when I was a kid. we actually had the
Yeah.
Sears Pong console, and went from there. But the that sort of agility that has to keep you pretty comfortable in behind the microphone, doesn't it?
I try to offer something for everyone
Yeah.
because I know not everyone is going to watch RPGs.
Right.
And so I try to give people a little variety. And sometimes I'll throw a curveball in.
Mm.
Like one month I had a theme month full of movie-based games because I love movies too.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd play stuff like RoboCop Rogue City, I'd play Star Wars, I'd play Ghostbusters, I'd do all that too. So
You played
I try not to limit myself too much.
the original Ghostbusters game that no one can beat.
No, 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 not
Yeah.
that
Oh,
one.
okay.
The remastered one that came out on Steam a couple years ago.
Oh,
So
okay.
I enjoyed that quite a bit. That felt like a love fan letter to people who love the series.
Yeah. Now that's good because I watched the video game nerd play the original and I'm like, oh no.
Oh, that's rough. Yeah, he plays stuff that I personally have a lot of trouble getting through because like NES era games, they're really difficult. I am trying to get through Ninja Gaiden right now. I only got as far as 6-2, which is close to the end of the game, but it's not quite there yet. So
Oh
I
yeah.
still have some more training to do.
Oh, there's some of those games that were really, and you had to do it in one setting for the early ones because there was no save. You had to keep going, and
Yeah,
until Zelda came out, you weren't going to get a save. Um,
yeah, and generally speaking, the Genesis games are harder than the Nintendo ones because they give you limited continues, and once you use them all up, well, that's it.
yep, you're
Start
done.
from square one.
You're done. Which is why we all had Game Genies. Uh, we cheated.
My
That's what we did.
cousins definitely did, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I actually did beat the original Super Mario Brothers on the NES at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Well,
And
that's quite a feat.
yeah, and then I called somebody and they got mad at me because I woke them up. But I had to scream to somebody. I was by myself. The and then I went through and with the original. I don't hear about this very much, but they give you a new set of worlds to go through, but all of the characters are the little hard shells.
Yeah, they increase the difficulty quite a bit.
Yeah.
Usually when I play, I stop at 8-4. I'm just like done then.
Well, I actually got all the way to the end of that one on the same thing. And I had a larger Mario, and I just missed a jump right before I got to Bowser.
Ah, that's a shame.
Yeah, yeah, it's one of those things that, maybe it did happen 40 years ago, but I still see it every night. I
Hey,
missed the
don't
jump.
underestimate Mario games just because they're Mario.
Well, my grandson was playing a Mario game, and of course, me being the good grandfather that I am, I was letting him, wipe the floor with me. It was a one-on-one type thing. And then he told me that I was basically, he was owning me while playing it. So, you know, hard lesson for an 8-year-old. You're talking to OG here. And
I think it's great that you get to share that with your grandkids because my father never really played games with me much. He'd always ask me about video games in a interested sense, but not so interested that he actually wants to participate.
well, my father actually, and I'm 59, so we're talking even older generation. He got
Hmm.
into one of the Cabela Hunter games, and he would sit there.
Oh, like the ones you'd see at the arcade, yeah.
Yeah, and he would sit there and play it and rack up stuff. He was enjoying himself, but he'd also fall asleep. So he'd be sitting there
Oh no.
in a tower, sitting at the top of a deer tower, completely asleep, with deer and moose and bears running past and rain going on.
Wow, gosh.
I should have taken a picture that ultra gamer at work. No,
That's good.
but that's the thing. It's not a it's and folks who are younger these days who start, oh, well, what's our generation? Well, BS to that. I was one of the guys who was putting in the coins in the video game machine.
Yeah, so like you bring up an interesting point. I have somebody in my community who keeps telling me, "Oh, kids will never know about this and that and whatever." And I'm like, "Why don't you teach them?
Yeah,
Why don't you teach them about the way things were?"
yeah,
I made
absolutely.
a post not that long ago about this teacher who's hosting kind of a STEM club in his high school, and he's basically got this video out. He goes by Big Bet Gaming on YouTube,
Hmm.
and he's basically showing his students how to set up an NES challenge set with an old TV. Like he's actually walking them through it. He's
Wow.
not trying to get their reaction or anything. He's not being condescending to them. He's
Yeah,
showing them how it was. He's telling his story,
yeah.
and I'm like, why can't we do that?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I would, there are some of those games, even back in the old, I had a Commodore 64, yeah, which at the time was amazing. But there are some games that wouldn't translate now to anything off of Commodore 64. But I love playing those
Yeah,
games, and I would play them again if I still had a working one and floppy disks and all that stuff. Um, but they are not going to get that experience unless we show them.
right. So I mean, that's a big motivator for me too as an older creator.
Yeah.
Like I like to explain and kind of explore how we got here. What are the steps to how modern games are today?
Hmm.
Because without Dragon Quest, there would be no Final Fantasy. Without Ultima and what's the other one I'm thinking of? Wizardry, there would be
Mm,
no Dragon Quest. So you kind of
right.
take it step by step to see the evolution of a genre,
Oh yeah.
right? When it comes to RPGs
Yeah.
or most games, right?
Yeah. Yeah. All your dungeon crawler games, you go back to heck, I was playing the Gold Box Dungeons and Dragons games, and
Right. I mean,
and I mean,
Dungeons and Dragons is the origin of all
yeah,
things when it
pretty
comes to
much,
that.
pretty much, and they did it the best they could to put it on the Commodore. I can tell you that. It was first time was pretty amazing. Um, but it all comes down to that, and if you don't know the basics, you can't you don't really get to appreciate what's going on now with these games, which is just
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. I mean, I'm
So
I'm
it's
too
fulfilling for me to do that, to explore the
yeah,
past and kind of track how we got here.
yeah. So do you about how often do you do that on your streams? Is it like once a week, once every couple weeks, or
It depends. So like I would say once a week
mhm,
because right now I'm getting into Suikoden and that's a game that I have always wanted to get into, but I never had a chance because that game is very hard to come by.
mhm.
If you want a physical copy, it'll probably run you a few $100s. It was available on PSN for the longest time, but Konami, they came to their senses this year and they're like, "Oh, we should just re-release our old games." And boom, there it is on Switch, PS5, Xbox. I picked it up. I'm going through it. I'm like, "Yeah, this is really good." So I'm
Hmm.
trying to fill in the gaps right now. Because there are a lot of gaps for me when it comes to these old RPGs. I want to become more knowledgeable. That's also a big motivator for me.
That's cool. That's excellent. And you're bringing everybody with you is the thing. It's not just you
Yeah,
yourself on the
absolutely.
quest.
Even people like Zophar's Domain ran that emulation site. He was asking me. He came over. He's like, "Oh, how's Suikoden?" I never got into this either. So, people want to know. They're curious.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Okay. When you get
I feel like
somebody,
I'm doing my part.
yeah, when you get somebody who appreciates what you're doing to that extent, where they'll ask questions about it and ask about other things that you want to do, how does that make you feel? I mean, it's got to be a wind
It makes
beneath
me
your
feel
wings, you know?
good.
Yeah.
People will ask me, "Oh, are you going to do this game or that game?" Sometime I'm like, "Yeah, I'll think about it." The big constraint for me is time. I always wish I had more time because I work full time and I stream, and that makes it so hard.
Mm, yeah. I mean, there's some days where you just come home and you're just like, I ain't doing nothing. uh,
Yeah, and I allow myself that
yeah.
because my day job is I work at a medical center, and
Oh,
sometimes I gotta commute to work. So sometimes I will come home exhausted. I'll be like, "Oh, sorry guys, can't do it today. Too tired, too wiped. We'll do this another day."
yeah.
And
And
people are
especially,
understanding.
yeah, especially where you're working at, you could have a day where nothing happens. You can have a day where everything happens. Um, in things that people don't want to see, can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah,
try to keep it at work.
yeah,
So
yeah. Well, tell that to your brain when you come
it's not
home.
always easy.
It's not, but the interaction that you've had with your chat up to this point, you built yourself up a pretty good base, you think?
I think so. Yeah, we have a pretty healthy community.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my community is full of like mostly young men, and they're all pretty nice and friendly with each other.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about RPGs. We talk a lot about like industry stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us are into wrestling. Some of us are into music. We're all into like different things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I say it's when you have a situation where you start off as one thing and it kind of expands into something else. Is that what you kind of got with your chat, where you start off with the games and now you've kind of expanded a little bit into more of a community?
yeah, it kind of like takes on a life of its own, I'd say.
Mm.
And once you get into different things, like in the past, I got into Yu-Gi-Oh Master Duel. I was doing that for a couple years.
Yeah.
I've been playing Final Fantasy 14 off and on. I just got back onto it today.
Hmm.
Um, those are community building games. Also, Monster Hunter is a big one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You
That's very
can
big.
definitely meet a lot of people playing Monster Hunter.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you kind of have to do things that are community minded to cultivate a community, I would say.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Now the Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, I don't know the first thing about it, other than occasionally accidentally watching the television show. um, but I will watch somebody play it online because I think the strategies are interesting. That and Magic and whatever the card games are online. But then I'll
Yeah,
also,
I'd say I'm more into Magic these days than
yeah.
Yu-Gi-Oh. But when I was active playing Yu-Gi-Oh, I would participate in other VTubers. They would hold like tournaments and stuff, and
Mhm.
I'd play by their rules and everything.
Mhm.
And that was a lot of fun. Although I would say I gave it up partially because I got like too competitive. I got like
Mhm.
a little too obsessed with winning
Yeah.
and looking good, and I got myself into a little trouble because of that. And
Ah, yeah.
yeah, it wasn't good.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
it happens.
and also, I tried to host my own Yu-Gi-Oh stuff, and I wasn't getting the attendance. So I was like, okay, it's time to give this up.
Yeah. Well, it happens. I mean, I'd do that with if somebody was doing Scrabble, I'd watch that because I'm big into Scrabble. I mean, it's
Really
yeah.
now.
Oh, I actually was I was ranked number 83 in the state in my class, which is the lowest for 1 year.
Oh, I
'Cause
didn't know too much about competitive Scrabble.
yeah.
My grandma used to play though.
Oh, it's well, I played Scrabble since I was single digits, so it was just a lot of fun to me. I love words. Um, but again, it's once you get too competitive in it, it kind of starts losing its fun. Um,
Yeah, definitely. I
yeah.
wasn't having fun anymore. I was like, I don't really have any real connection or passion for this game anymore, and that was really sad for me
Mm,
because for a little while I was having fun, but the VTubers who were hosting it, they just had so much more love, and they put a lot more selves into it, and I just couldn't do that. So I was like, nope, not for me.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
My
I
my
mean,
home is retro and RPGs.
yeah,
That's what I'm sticking with.
yeah. I mean, you enjoyed yourself for a while, and then now you don't enjoy yourself with it anymore. Let's just move on to something else. It's but
It
you
happens.
but you found yourself now to be flexible enough where you can bounce to certain different things. So over this time, you've been able to be entertaining with various different things going on your channel. Did you? I mean, going in, did you realize that you were going to be able to do that bouncing around, or were you think you're just going to stick in one type of game?
It's a lot of experimenting. Um, so a long time ago, in the early days, I would do RPGs constantly, and the key I found is to do variety, do different things each day. And I learned that from watching corporate VTubers. Now I'm gonna say I'm not trying to be like them, but they're using a formula that works. It clearly works for them. So I had to make some adjustments.
Hmm.
And it really helped me too, because like that way I'm not burnt out on doing any one thing for too long.
Right, right. Yeah, you also don't want to get necessarily pigeonholed into
No.
a certain
I mean,
game.
I don't mind people thinking of me as an RPG guy because I am at heart.
Yeah,
But that's not all I am. That's not my end all be all, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. But you get caught in one game, and then what happens, unfortunately, and this is kind of call back to the old radio days. If you get got into radio and you were known as the guy that did this, that's what they come back for. And sooner or later, they kind of get tired of what you did, and they didn't.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I
you,
know. I used to know a streamer who did like nothing but Mario Maker levels, and
yeah,
they got partnered doing it because the content was popular for a little while.
yeah,
But once that bubble popped, it was not coming back.
yeah, yeah. You've got to. You sooner or later, it's going to come down to your personality with that audience. And if you show that you can be that same type of person, same type of entertaining person on a different game, a different platform, or a different completely type different of streaming. Uh, Maybe you do a cooking something, or I don't know, singing or whatever. Then they start coming back to see what you're doing rather than coming back knowing what you're doing. There's a big
That's a
difference.
good feeling to have regulars who will have your back no matter what you put on.
Yeah, it does make it.
That's a comfortable place to be.
Yeah, because otherwise, like you said, that the fellow who did, or the person who only did the Mario levels. Once I'm sure that when they saw the numbers start going down, what do they have to fall back on?
Not much. I mean, I can only imagine it was pretty devastating for them. But Eric, I've been doing this for almost 13 years. I've seen so many people come and go, rise and fall. You
Yeah,
know, I feel like it's been forever.
yeah,
I compare myself to the anime character Frieren because, you know, I've
yeah.
been around just that long.
Yeah, it was around when it started, when they just got one bit, and you had to share it.
Oh, I'm gonna start talking like that one day. You just wait.
Well, that'd be fine because they'll have the again the uh, the programs will be there where you could switch it right back to your old voice. It'll be no problem. Just hit a button and you'll be any voice you want by the time that comes around. But you've already shown by being able to stay in it this long, from the face cam days to now, that you are agile enough to go to different types of games and content and keep the audience with you. Um, so, do you still worry about that, or is that something that you put in the back burner?
Sometimes I worry about like whether I'm ever gonna run out of content. Like, are people just gonna get sick of me?
Mm.
But that hasn't been the case. People say they like and enjoy my streams, so that's comforting. Um, and I think one of the reasons why I've been able to stick around this long is because unlike a lot of other streamers, I'm not doing this for my career.
Yeah,
I'm a hobby streamer.
yeah.
I have a very good day job. I gave myself a 43% raise by jumping from one job to another. So that's
Yeah,
pretty damn good.
it is. It is
Uh,
really damn good, actually.
I've got retirement, health, dental. I'm all set. You know,
Yeah,
I'm not looking to make this my career.
yeah, yeah,
It's something I do after work to hang out with people.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
That's why I'm not in radio anymore because it was not paying the bills. I loved it, but
that's unfortunate. I daydream about being in radio, like being an easy listening DJ, like the guys I listen to on my local station is Easy 99.1, which
yeah.
is based out of Plymouth, Massachusetts.
Oh
So
yes, yes. I used to do the programming, change the reels for an easy listening station in my teens, and overnights I worked, and that was the only station I wanted to work for. Was that had had talking sports on the AM and easy listening on the FM, and I was perfectly fine with it. But 35
yeah,
years later,
I
there
guess
was a
I
difference.
wanted to do it because I wanted a way to like give comfort to people, but I'm
Mhm.
sort of already doing that now, so I don't
Yeah.
need to.
Well, I mean, I look at it as a lot of an extension of what radio was for a DJ because if you would go on and say just play Minecraft, you know, there's a lot of people who are playing Minecraft right now, even as we're doing this interview. You could go on and find, you know, how many people playing Minecraft. So if that's what you're looking for, if you're just looking for one song on a station, you listen to that station. But you come back for the personality of the person playing the song to that station, or the personality of the person playing Minecraft on
Yeah,
this
I
VTube.
think you nailed it. Like, people come to your channel because they want to hear from you. They want to
Hmm.
know what this personality is saying.
Yeah, yeah. And now, if there's a situation where if you're playing a game that they just you know they're not into, well, maybe they'll not tune in a couple times, but then they'll come back. And when
Well,
you
everyone
because
has good days and bad days,
yeah.
right?
Oh, I heard of good days. I heard some people do have good days. I strive for mediocrity. Therefore, if anything's better than that, I'm happy.
That's good.
Years of radio teach me that too. But the it really is a very much a personality driven thing if you want to get the bigger audiences. But there are going to be, I think, in this industry, um, in this medium, there are going to be a lot of people who are still going to be hobby streamers, and maybe they'll make a little bit of you know gas money or something doing it, or maybe
Oh,
not.
yes,
You know,
and I have
yeah,
just change really, but I'm enrolled in a number of affiliate programs.
hmm,
I'm with Fanatical, I'm with Green Man Gaming. I
yeah.
think Oh, what happened?
No, you're there.
Oh, sorry, my screen shut off for a second.
Yeah,
What was I saying? Oh yeah, I'm with Fanatical and Green Man Gaming. I think those are great because your audience is most likely going to build video games. They're going to buy video games anyway, right?
right,
So
right.
that's a natural fit.
Yeah,
I'm also with Advance. Advance, did an outreach to a bunch of creators, so I made a few bucks that way.
yeah, yeah. There's nothing
It's
wrong with
it's
that.
not like big money. Like I'm not going to quit my job or anything, but yeah, make a few dollars. It's
Yeah,
not bad.
yeah. Some people are going to do that. Some people aren't going to make a cent, and some people, but it's the ability to get out there and entertain people, get out there and be a part of a community that is nearly infinite in its possibility. Um, your potential audience is 99% of the planet. It'll never reach it, but it's still growing.
Oh
Um,
yeah, I miss when I had viewers like from as far as Japan. I don't get that anymore. But I
yeah.
would like if anyone from Japan is listening, please come to my channel. I'm sure I'll have something you like.
It's just amazing though. But I can when I started with the radio stuff, I couldn't talk to somebody in Singapore on the radio with a microphone. I could call them on the phone. It would cost $1 million. It would sound terrible. But now I just pick up the microphone in my back room, and I can do
Well,
that
it's
no problem.
interesting with VTubing, it brings like fans in from all around the world.
Uh huh.
Recently, I went down to San Jose for Offkai,
Mm.
and I had a chance meeting with a lady from Taiwan
Yeah.
who came to the show.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Wow, you're the first person I met from Taiwan. Who are you here to see?" And we had like a whole conversation,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
a real cultural exchange. I thought that was great.
Oh, absolutely. And the world is a lot smaller. Um, and in a lot of ways, it you still can't reach over and high five somebody from where you're sitting if they're on the other side of the planet, but you can just talk with them like you're seeing them every day. Uh, that potential audience, strictly from marketing and going back to the old radio days, is huge. Um, if you're somebody who has managed to be independent and international and get an international audience, people are going to want to give you money. And
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'd go out of my way to ask for it though.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you still have to market yourself and be out there. But if you're out there and people realize that your audience is, this, they're going to come after you. Now, I would be very careful about that because there's a lot of people out there who just want to, scam you out of your money. So don't pay people to do that for you. But
Oh
uh,
yeah, I've learned to be very, very cautious about that.
yeah, for instance, former radio guys like me never trust former radio guys because we will steal you blind. It's just a fact. We go for anything that's free. I lived off peanuts for a week on purpose, so I could do that. I could do any of that stuff. Um,
Oh yeah, I was really poor when I started. I had to budget like crazy.
yeah, yeah. But you would have been great in radio. That voice and your cadence would have been absolutely great. Back
Oh,
when
thank you. Yes, I was told one time that I actually had a pretty good voice for public radio. I'm like, oh, really? I could be on NPR? That sign me up.
absolutely, Well, not just that, but any type of radio. When local radio was still local radio, you could have definitely. I would have hired you for absolutely nothing. You'd have hated me for the rest of your life. Um,
Well, it wouldn't be my first time doing volunteer work, but
that's true. That's true. It's very much volunteer work when it comes down to it. But I tell you, it sounds like you're doing just a bang up whiz job with this, and you're getting the audience feedback that you like. You've got a community that you enjoy, um, and you've been doing it for so long now. It has to be second nature at this point.
it is. It's as natural as flipping a light switch to
Yeah,
me now.
yeah. Then coming on and picking up the microphone and say, "Okay, here we go." Is there are there any butterflies, or is it just let's do it?
I usually just like give a quick intro and say what's on my mind, and I just get kind of right into it. I'm not really one for like long intros, you know. I know
Mhm.
some streamers do that, like they go into like an hour long just chatting scene.
Yeah.
I'm kind of more of like a get to the point kind of person with what I'm doing.
Mhm. I'm here to play. Let's play.
Yeah, exactly. I don't really know what's more beneficial. Maybe it's more beneficial to have a longer conversation with your viewers. I I don't know. I'm not really about that growth mindset. I'm just doing what I feel is good for me.
I think after 12 years, having a radical change probably isn't the greatest thing, especially when you've built up your brand and your community like this, and it's still going strong. There's
No, I'm not going to do any major changes. I have a model update on the way
Ooh, when's
and a
that
lore
coming up?
update.
When's that coming?
I'm aiming for September.
Ah, so we'll say January of next year.
We'll see. The studio that I'm working with, Kyoki Studio,
Mm.
tells me the model will be ready in 3 weeks. But that also
Ooh,
means I have to get everything else ready, and it's a lot of work behind the scenes. You gotta do like a reveal and everything,
oh
and new
yeah,
emotes and new everything, and
yeah.
it's a lot of time and expense, but it'll be worth it.
Eri, it's been absolutely worth it being able to talk with you for this interview.
Thank you.
It's
Yeah,
great.
it's been a real pleasure.
It's great talking with you, and to know that not only are you extremely talented, obviously, but you've really got a great mindset for it. You've got a great outlook, and and you just sound so comfortable with it, and it seems comfortable with you that it's a perfect fit.
I think I just know what works at this point. And sometimes what doesn't work for me is, when I try to overdo it, like I go on 4 nights a week, which is a lot for somebody who works full time. Sometimes
Mhm.
I try to do 5 nights a week. And whenever I try to do 5 nights a week, my body's like, okay, no, you're not doing this anymore. Sit back down, go rest.
Yes.
So if anyone takes anything from this, I would say the key is pacing yourself.
Yeah.
Pace yourself, know your limits. You're gonna have to learn what your limits are, the easy way or the hard way.
Yes.
You know,
And when you're
that's
my
all it is.
when you're my age, the limits are like the difference between two parentheses on the keyboard. That's pretty much the limit. But for you, lots of things going on, lots of great things coming up. That 2.0 coming up soon. We're going to have all of the links in the description for this interview, and we'll have you back on again, Ari, soon. Okay, I appreciate very much you coming on.
Thank you. I'd love to come back on sometime.
Thank you for listening to Eric Loy Interviews. Join us again next time when we talk to another member of the always interesting VTuber community.